Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us. Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Our special guest from Indianapolis is Zach Purdy. Zach, say hello to everybody.
Hi, Neil. Hi, everybody.
Good job. Okay, we can hear you and you can hear us. Excellent stuff. Looking forward to jumping in and talking to you about a couple things that you do that is slightly different, that's pretty profitable. But before I go into that, why don't you give me a Reader's Digest version of where you're at, how long in the business, etc.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been licensed now since the end of 2016, technically. However, I didn't go full time into real estate until January of 2020. So right before COVID.
Okay, got it. And you were at a different company at the time, not the same company you're at right now?
Yeah, I started with a different company and switched about 2 years ago now.
Got it. Okay. And that's working for you. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, love it. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway now, so.
Good. Fantastic. That actually might work for you a little bit better with some of the things that you're doing, but you met Mike Ferry when?
So I got introduced to Mike Ferry, the Mike Ferry system. I went full time January of 2020. In February of 2020, Ron Cronin was doing like a 2-day event in Indianapolis promoting the Superstar Retreat, and that was my first experience. So a month in, and I signed up for coaching right then.
Got it. And one of your managers, or maybe your manager, was Tom Myers, right?
Yeah, he was the regional manager, and he's obviously he's the one that got me signed up into coaching. So
yeah, Tom's a great guy, a great coach, terrific person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So what did they have you do in the beginning? What got you going? What got you started in real estate at that time? But let me do this, Zach. I don't even think I know this. What did you do before real estate?
I drove a forklift in a warehouse. Exciting stuff.
Tell me more about that. How'd you get started there?
Well, yeah. So I got started. I used to box. I used to be just as an amateur. I never turned professional. But one of my teammates and good friends, he got his real estate license actually. And how I got started was, after training on a Friday, he said, "Hey, I'm having my first open house on Sunday. It's over by where you live. If you're not doing anything, stop by." So okay. So I went there, and then he had another full-time job too. Well, during the open house when I was there, one of his friends came, and who's also a real estate agent, and whose dad happened to be the manager of the office I ended up joining. And while we were there, we were all talking. It was just the four of us, and the manager said, "Well, why aren't you in real estate?" So I don't know. So we set a time about, I don't know, probably a week later, had coffee, and he told me about it, and I signed up for class right away, and passed the class, went to work, and I still kept my full-time job driving the forklift because I was making probably $45,000-$50,000 a year then, which was actually good money for the work I did. Most people didn't get paid that much driving a forklift. So the first 3 years, I sold 2 homes a year.
Okay. Good. Yeah. And that was pretty much part-time.
Yeah, very part-time. Just, it was all, my mom connected me with the first client that sold and bought just because there was someone she worked with. And I got my break actually in June of 2019, I guess. They came to us and said, "Hey, in 6 months, we're closing the plant. We're closing down. And if you stay till the end, we'll give you a severance package," which was like 2 months worth of pay. So I basically I had January and February to make it work. I had 2 months worth of pay, and if I didn't get started in real estate full time, I decided that's what I wanted to do. If I didn't make it work in those 2 months, I was going to have to get a job because I had a kid and a house and bills and stuff. So.
Got it. All right. So that was your break. Your break was the plant closed down.
It's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Well, that's great. Fantastic. So so where did your business come from at that time? Doors, phones, expireds,
So
houses?
so I got another, I guess, little break. Um, as soon as I went full time, almost the very first day, one of my past clients, one of the two homes I sold, called me and said, "Hey, he had somebody at work needed to buy a home." So he was my first client in 2020, and then in February when I went to the Ron Cronin event, um, I was blown away by how Ron. You guys all know Ron really well. He's one of the best at just being able to ask questions and get you to say yes when he wanted you to say yes. So he gave us a list of questions. Well, the next day I just went back to the office and he gave us the scripts and then a list of closing questions, objection handlers. Next day I went back to the office, and very first time I had no idea what I was doing. I literally just read the script, probably had no energy, sounded like a robot. He gave me a couple of objections. I did exactly what Ron said. I asked two questions, closed again, asked two questions, closed again. Eventually he gave me the appointment that night. So that was how I broke my teeth was on expired. That was my first expired, and then I did it again the next day.
And the rest, as we should say, is kind of history.
Yeah, and then I got involved in coaching obviously right then. So then I had my first coaching call, and he kind of told me, call your database, call or put together a database. I didn't even know what a database was. Start putting together a list of people, just look at your phone, and then the expires was really how I got started.
Got it. Got it. So that was in 2020?
20, yeah.
Okay, so 2020, and we're in 25 right now. So that's 5 full years of selling real estate.
Yeah, correct.
And prior to that, you were doing a couple deals a year.
Yeah, I did 20 deals my first year in 2020.
And all of them were expireds?
No, there were a few expireds. Yeah, expireds were probably the bulk of it that year, and then the rest were like a database. I did start getting some database when I started calling to people I knew and getting my name out there. I did a couple open houses that year. I got my first big buyer, which was 500,000, which isn't even that big anymore. From an open house, they walked into an open house I was in, so it was a matter of just getting out there and talking to people.
Right. Got it. So you learned a little bit of what to say and how to say it.
Yeah.
And did you preview property, or how did you learn the inventory then?
I didn't like preview property in person. I did a lot of previewing online. But I didn't do a lot of previewing in person.
Because
so yeah.
Why do you think?
I don't know. I didn't I'll be honest, I don't think I knew what previewing was at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. But all I know is that first year I closed 20 deals and made I think I made $59,000, and at the warehouse I was making about 55. So
you were in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, excellent. So you get involved with Mike Ferry and Tom Meyer, et cetera, and your business starts to grow a little bit. So walk us through that.
Yeah, so got involved with Mike Ferry. Had my first coach for a year and a half. Things were going well. And then I'll be honest, the second year I decided I had this great idea, like most agents do. I'm gonna start building this team. So
exactly.
Yeah, so
were you going to build the team because you were going to work less, or were you going to build the team because you could build this team and make more money?
Well, I had the grand idea that most agents do, that I'll get all these agents to do all the work and I'll sit back and collect the dough. And so I did. I ended up getting 4 agents. Well, and it was just it was almost natural too. Like, because I had a couple agents, just a couple new people call me and was like, "Hey, you're doing well in real estate. I want to get my license." There's people from my database. So I brought them on. And so that year in 2021, I sold 22 homes myself and they sold 11. And I made, I think, like $10,000 off the homes they sold.
Okay.
And I'll be on.
And you sold 22 homes, which was what, another $60,000-$70,000?
It was a little bit more. I think my average price point went up a little bit that year. So, I mean, I could tell you I have everything. It was about 90,000 actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 90 plus the 10.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first. That was the
right
first
at
year.
$100,000.
That was the first year I made over $100,000. Yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations. So, all right. So that was the second year in real estate. So now we're in 21, 22,
Yeah. 21.
something like that.
Yeah. The end of 21. Well, the end of 21, I ended up getting rid of all 4 agents, and that was because of Mike. So Mike kind of told me on a call one day, "What the hell are you doing? But why are you building a team? You're doing 20 deals a year." So I had the good fortune of coaching with Mike one-on-one for a very, very short time because he fired me. But that was one thing I did do right away when he told me to.
Why do you think he reached out at that time to coach with you, Zach?
Well, he didn't necessarily reach out. He did an event in Fort Lauderdale. And if you'll hear Mike tell this story every once in a while. He thinks it was the first time I met him. He thinks that's when I joined coaching. I actually was in his coaching program before, but he did an event in Fort Lauderdale, and during the break, I don't know why. I have no idea why. I just went up and asked him, "Hey, what do I have to do to get you to coach me?" And I remember him looking at me like, "Well, I'm not taking on clients or whatnot." And Tom Myers had actually brought in Natasha Johns, which I'm sure you've probably heard of. She's about 2 hours south of me, but does 150, 200 homes a year. She's one of the ones that paid Mike 50,000 recently. Right. And I guess she went up to him the same time and asked him to coach him, or asked him to coach her. And I guess he had told her yes. So during the next break, I was sitting with Tom Myers and we were talking, and he said, "When Natasha joined coaching, guess who's going to coach her?" I was like, "Who?" And he pointed at Mike, and I said, "Well, I asked Mike, he just told me no." Well, completely different level.
Pay him $50,000.
Well, she didn't right then. She did not then. She just did that last year, but that was when she joined coaching. But Tom had brought her. This is the highest producer in our company, so he of course said he would coach her. Well, I immediately just went right back up to Mike and said, "Hey, what do I got to do? What do I have to do to get you to coach me?" And I'll never forget. He kind of looked at me. It was almost like a dog when they hear a weird noise. He just kind of turned his head to the side, and I just remember he gave me this look like, "Who the hell are you?" And he told me, "Well, the first thing you have to do is upgrade to Premier." And I said, "Okay, what else do I need to do?" And he kind of did it again. And he said, "Well, I can only do it for," he had told me at that time, 4 to 6 months. I said, "Okay." And he told me to go back and tell Sabrina I'm going to coach him. So I went back and told Sabrina. Sabrina was like, I don't think she was very happy. So long story short, that ended up going for about 5, 6 weeks, and then he fired me.
Because you weren't coaching.
Well, I just wasn't ready for that, like the kind of coaching he did. I had no idea how to communicate. I know our last call, he would ask me a question, and I'm analytical by nature. So he would ask me a question about one thing, and I would answer it and just keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. And I remember he stopped me and said, "Zach, I've asked you 3 questions now, and you started to answer it, and then you start talking about something else, and I don't even know what you're talking about." And that was kind of when the light bulb, it didn't go off, but it started flickering, right? I went back and listened to it, and I was like, "Oh my God, why would anybody talk to me?" And I remember him asking me if that was a problem prospecting. I said, "Sure." Well, then Friday, he emailed me and said, "Hey, after our first few calls, I've decided, you need to work with Ira on your dialogues and whatnot." And, funny thing is, during that call, he told me to write on a 3x5 card, "Shut up and listen." And I did, and I still have it taped to my computer right now. So he fired me, and we went with Ira.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. This has been on my computer for
how long? There it is.
Yeah. So for about 4 years now.
Good for you. Good stuff. Okay, so we started moving forward. and the business is changing a little bit and you need to make more money.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do that? What happened?
Well, I started working with Ira, and if any of you know Ira is, military and strict,
He's a retired colonel.
which is what I needed at that time, 100%. I remember, Mike doesn't tell you to do anything. He asks you questions to get you to realize what you have to do. My first call with Ira, he said, okay, I need you to do A, B, C, and D. I was like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do, which was perfect for me at that time. So we started working, and as far as following my schedule, and the next year I sold 33 homes. And then the year after that, I sold 40.
And that you got rid of the team, right?
Yeah, I got rid of the team when like my first call with Mike. He was just like, "What are you thinking?"
Okay, so the team. So you were at 22 deals. They did 10. The next year you went to 33 deals all by yourself.
Yeah, and made a lot more money.
How much money did you make at that time?
That year, I think I made like 166,000.
Right. The average sales price for homes back then was what? More or less.
Mine was about 250.
Okay. What's the average price now?
It's about 300, and I'm in our MLS. It's about 300. Mine's a little bit higher than that.
So just as a side note, ladies and gentlemen, you can buy a house for $300,000-$400,000 in Indiana and get what kind of rent?
If you buy, you can buy a home. You can still find them for 250, 250, 300, and they're going to rent for anywhere from 15 to 1,800.
Okay. In case anybody cares, that breaks even and maybe makes a little bit of a profit, right, Zach?
Yeah. Yeah, we have it's a big place to invest. We have a lot of investors here.
Got it. Great. Okay. Very good. Okay, so you're doing a little bit of expired. You're doing for sale by owners. You're working on some past client and sphere by then.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of years, you've actually added another category. It's a category that we do talk about in the company, but I've seen very few people have the success that you've had with it. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So last year, my biggest source was agent referrals. The year before that, it was a big source. It wasn't my biggest, but last year I did 18 agent referrals, and that's paid off. I already have 3 under contract from agent referrals this year.
Fantastic. So when you talk about agent referrals, I mean, what are you referring? Are you on the phone calling these guys all the time or what?
No, I don't call agent referrals because I have an agent database of it's almost 1,700 people now. And if I were to try to call 1,700 agents, 4 times a year, I mean, I wouldn't have time to call anybody else.
Right.
So no, I don't call them. What I do is anytime I meet an agent, and I should say these are not all Mike Ferry agents. They're not. Out of that 1,700, there's probably half of them that are and half of them that aren't. So anytime I meet an agent anywhere, I add them outside of my market area. I add them to my agent database, and I treat them all the same. After every Mike Ferry event I go to, I'm going to send an email out. Hey, I just attended this event. I always make sure at every event I take a picture with Mike. I add that to the email. Here's my top takeaways. I always say, if you would like a full copy of my notes, please respond to this email, and I'll be sending them right over to you, because I always have my notes typed out. I have my assistant type them now because I write them when we're there, and then I rewrite them so that I memorize them better, and I rewrite them in better handwriting, hand them to her, she types them out. And I'll get 200 people that respond and say, yeah, I would love a full copy, and I send them over to them, and that's just that's the bulk of it.
That's fantastic. So these are referrals that are going each way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
sending some and you're receiving some, correct?
Yeah, I've probably sent like 4 in the last year. I get more than I receive, but I think that's because of Indiana has a lot more people moving to it. Like California, I'm sure you guys probably have a lot more people moving out than you do moving in.
Yeah, they actually are all on speedboats trying to get the hell out of
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
there. They want to stay close to water.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Wow, this is so great. We talk about this all the time. And with in our coaching calls with our agents, and they go to the events. And so you were telling me that when an event is over, you're exhausted,
yeah.
but it's not because you were up late drinking.
No, I don't. I'll have a drink or two, but I don't drink a whole lot. But I do make sure I spend a lot of time outside of the room, and I try to spend it with different people, whether that be at a bar, a restaurant. So, for instance, like Winfield out of Chicago,
Sure.
I think you guys know him, and I think we've met before, right? But we spent 2 days together, 2 nights together at this last event. He just texted me today and said he's got a referral for me, a seller. So it's just, you hang out with all these people, you make good friends with them, and then that you just network with them.
And these are all people that are hustling like you're
Yeah,
hustling, right?
yeah, absolutely.
God, that's great. So what does 18 referrals earn you ish, more or less?
Um, I don't know if I have that breakdown. I know in the last, out of my last 27 referrals, it's been about 160,000.
$160,000.
Yeah, so
You
probably
more
about
than pay for
170.
the Mike Ferry coaching,
Oh yeah, yeah. My coaching is free every year
right? Because of something like this.
for sure. Yeah, and even if only a few of them are coming from, the Mike Ferry system, I mean, one of them could be a $10,000 check, and that's almost
The
your whole
whole year.
coaching expense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So tell me how you do this. I mean, do you have to have a network for it? I mean, do you have to have emails are set up? How's that work?
No, I don't. I will. So if you're in my agent database, like some of the people on this call are, you're going to get an email from me, and I'm going to send it next week.
Well, I actually got something from you the other day, over and above this call. Did you
Okay.
sent something out recently? Let's say a couple days after the event?
I don't think I've sent it out yet, but
Okay.
it may be something else. But I haven't sent that out yet because I've realized now there's more and more people doing this. And so after the event, you usually get, you know, well, and maybe it's just me because I have so many people in my database now from agents, but I usually get 10, 15 emails this week. So I'm trying to just be a little bit different. So I'm going to send it out 2 weeks after.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So you send it out, but you don't necessarily follow up with a phone call, right?
No, I don't. I don't call, like I don't prospect my agent database. There's too many people in there, and like my goal, Ira is the one. When I was coaching with Ira, he was the one who got me started with this, and he told me I should try to get to 10,000 people in that agent database as quickly as possible.
And you're
So
at
I mean, you can't.
1,600.
Yeah, I'm at 1,600. I mean, 10,000 is a lot, but yeah.
Okay, so tell us where the rest of your business is coming from.
Expired, my own database, which, those are two areas me and my coach are working on big time now, especially database, because I haven't been calling them as much as I should. I send a weekly email to my database, and I've relied on that, which still gets me referrals. And I think I did 12 or 13 or 14 from, my database or database referrals last year, but I should be getting more. So database and expireds. My coach wants me to take 12 expired listings this year, one a
So
month.
you're doing 18 agent referrals now. This took you a few years to develop the
Mhm.
database, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And you've done, what'd you say, 14 or 15 from
I think
past client sphere?
last year it was 12.
Past client sphere.
Yes, well, past client sphere or referrals from past client sphere. I group them all into one. So if one of my past clients says, their mom needs to buy or something, I just count that as database.
Okay. And how do you stay in touch with them? That group?
So I'm getting back to, what, Mike and Tony tell me to do is call them 4 times a year. But I send a weekly email out every Wednesday of the month to anybody and to anybody who gives me their email address. All right. So I got like 900 people getting that each week. Each week, every Wednesday. Now I don't send
Those are not real estate agents.
No.
Those are clients.
No, because real estate agents, they don't want to be updated that much on Indianapolis area. Right.
Sure.
So, and those could be people like, if I'm doing like a just sold call, they say they want to sell in a year. I'm not going to follow up with them, but I'm going to ask them, hey, what's your email address? I'll email you all my information. And then I put them in there. And then that's all I do with them. So there's like 900 people in there now getting that.
Okay. Excellent. And no phone calls to those people, or some phone calls?
Well, I call my past clients in Sphere. So I don't have, like, if I call somebody on a just sold call, they want to sell in a year, I don't add them to my database. I will add them to my weekly email, and then sometimes it will pull a couple people out. I call my past clients in Sphere though.
So I'm not getting the feeling that you're grinding very hard. You're just kind of touching people. Isn't that kind of where you're at, Zach?
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about the social media aspect of it, where you're touching some people with some groups, I think we talked about.
Well, there's hundreds of Facebook referral groups, right? So real estate mastermind, lab coat agents, whatever. Join all those groups, because there's sometimes someone will put in there, hey, I need a referral in Indianapolis.
Right.
And then you reach out to them.
Got it. And then you pre-qualify the client. You're not going to work with a flake.
No. I mean, most of those are pretty serious, because it's an agent that's posting that, and then you reach out to that agent and they have a referral that needs to buy or sell in Indianapolis.
Right. So you need to qualify the referral. So you've learned to talk to people in such a way where you can determine what their motivation is.
Oh yeah.
You prefer working with sellers or buyers?
Well, sellers 100%. Now last year, because of the amount of referrals I did, I went down to like 51% sellers to 49% buyers. The year before that, I was like almost 70% sellers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's this year starting for you?
This year, I've actually been a little bit buyer heavy. So I've already put 7 under contract, and 5 of them are buyers and 2 are listing sold.
Got it. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, so you're getting business from expired, you're getting business from this, that. So last year you ended up with how many last year, how many transactions?
37.
37, and 37 deals closed you what in Indianapolis?
It was about 265.
265. So 37 deals out here would give you about, let's see, 350, 400, about $550,000. So Zach, when do you plan on moving?
I knew that was coming. I had the day before the event, I was sitting at the bar at the hotel watching the Notre Dame game. So I'm a Notre Dame fan. And I was sitting with John Sullivan. We were watching the game and talking, and told me he closed 67 deals last year and made 1.6 million.
1.6 million, yeah.
I about fell out of my chair.
Yeah,
so, it's a good question.
It does. The neighborhood does matter.
Yeah. Well, and we do have higher priced homes here, and I'm working on getting into those.
Okay. What are you doing to get into those?
I'm just calling them. So I've got a couple of the higher end expireds I'm working on right now.
Okay. Are you open for a little bit of coaching on how to get into those?
Please. Absolutely.
So before you call them and or door knock them, you should preview 15 to 20 properties so that you
Okay.
know what these things look like. That makes sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, because somebody's going to ask you about a property. So you've got to kind of sound like you know. The way you find out is you preview the properties, and I suggest 15 or 20 because one or two just isn't enough. Okay.
Yeah. That's a great
But
idea.
don't door knock the properties after you preview them. We teach here that you preview the property and then you door knock 10 around it so that you've already spent money on the gas to get there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you don't do that when you're trying to break in the neighborhood because you don't want to have somebody ask you a question yet that you don't feel you have an answer for, because
Yeah.
if you feel that you've screwed up, it's going to be hard to go do this more. You get my point?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to build on your successes. So get 15 or 20 previews under your belt. Just see the houses, smile, talk to the people. If you can go,
Okay.
go look inside the house. Don't do this online. Physically go do it,
Yeah.
and then start door knocking 10 houses around each one of them. And somebody says to you, so, what are the houses going in this area? Well, the last 14 of them I looked at were between 1.3 million and 2.7 million. What would you like to know about that specifically? Some had tile roofs, some had pools, some were on a cul-de-sac, blah, blah, blah. Are you folks thinking of moving? And you start your thing that you already know how to do.
I love it. I love it. I
You
would
do
definitely
it
add that.
with knowledge equals confidence. I get this all the time.
Mhm.
Real estate agents that have never previewed a house, have never knocked on a door, don't know where the shopping center is, are on the phone saying, when do you plan on moving? When do you plan on moving? They don't even say, when
Yeah.
do you plan on moving? What do they say is, have you thought of selling? Hey, do you want to sell? Boy, if I could get you the most money, would you sell? It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense?
It does. 100%.
Okay, so tell us, what's your plan for next year, or the balance
So
of?
me and my coach, we set a goal of 50.
Okay,
My mindset, I feel like I'm more focused this year. I've set some goals. I think I haven't. It's not something I've done in the past. My mindset is to get to 50 as quickly as possible,
okay,
because I know if I'm following my schedule, I can crush 50.
good. And what gets you off schedule, Zach? What gets you off schedule's got to be way different than what gets us off schedule.
Well, it's a combination of a couple things, right? So I have 4 kids. My son plays
Wait a
travel
minute, you
baseball.
only started this thing with one kid.
Well, I have 4 now. Yeah, I have 4.
Okay,
My youngest being 7 months.
well, congratulations.
Thank you. So 4 kids, a wife, and my 8-year-old plays travel baseball. I coach his team. That's a lot. And then, but really, after when talking with Tony the last couple of weeks, the hardest part, I think, it's starting over at zero for me. And
Tell me
me and
about
Tony,
that. What does that mean?
well, me and Tony were talking. He said there's 2 reasons people don't start over at zero. It's when they get too high or when they get too low. He asked me which one it was. For me, when things start getting bad, deals start falling apart. That's not me. I go. That's when I go to work. I got a prospect. I got a prospect. When I get too high, I get 7. It was like right now, I got 7 pending deals I put under contract this month.
Wait a
That's when
minute. Can we stop for a second? You put 7 deals in escrow in the month of January, and you were gone at a Mike Ferry event for a week.
Correct. Yeah, told you I'm focused. I'm focused this year.
Clearly, this is exciting.
So yeah, so and maybe 8. I actually just sent a counter offer over on one. I'm hoping to get accepted tonight. So but that's when I kind of take my foot off the gas previously, right? And not follow it. I'm like, oh, I don't have to prospect, 2 or 3 hours today. I've got 7 deals pending.
I call it the proverbial deep breath.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it is.
That's what happens when you get enough money to cover your bills and you got a couple dollars extra, you go, oh, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that brings up a good point. Me and Tony, because I coach with Tony Smith now, we were just talking about this on our call Tuesday about dividing my checks up. So I'm not seeing all that money. So, 4%, like, or personal to business to savings to investing. It's not something I've done in the past. So that's what we're doing now.
I have a deal with agents. If they want to do it, they just give me their checks and they'll never get it.
Well, I don't think I'm to that point.
Just give me the check. I'll make sure you have enough to eat, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm to that point, but yeah.
Okay.
I see what you're
All right.
saying.
Well, anytime I get a check in the mail from Zach Purdy, I'll know what it's about.
Don't hold your breath, Neil.
Okay. All right. Darn it. All right. So, aren't you a little bit complacent coming to February 1st with 7 or 8 deals pending?
Previously, yes, but not this year. I think like I said, I'm focused. I got focused in really November. Well, it was after the Fort Lauderdale event in October. I really got focused, and that's why I've put 7 under contract this year. From November, December, I followed my schedule closer those 2 months than I have in the last 5 years.
Let me ask you a question here. And maybe it's because you live in Indiana and it's in the middle of the country, so to speak, but you go to different Mike Ferry events all over the country, don't you?
Yeah, I usually go to at least 4, but usually it's 5 to 6 a year.
So what we're doing typically is we're going to the Los Angeles events or the Las Vegas events, and we end up with the similar groups of people. What you're doing is you're going probably to 2 of the same events we're going to, but you're going to 2 more events that we don't see those people.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you like that? Does that work for you to help you stay focused in meeting people out in another city?
I mean, it works in a couple different ways, right? It works because anytime you're in front of Mike learning, I mean,
yeah,
it's fabulous, right? So, and then absolutely, I think I'm meeting more people. So last year, for the first time, I went to the Toronto event, which I'll go to again this year. So I usually go to production and superstar; those are automatic, and then usually an event in between each one, and then I'm in the Think Big group, so I'll go to the Think Big event this year. So that's at least 5 I'll go to this year.
Right.
And those are in, Toronto, Fort Lauderdale, wherever he does the Think Big trip this year.
You probably had to sell like crazy to get into the Think Big group at $250,000.
You just, yeah, I always joke that I'm probably the lowest income producer in the front row at the events.
Right. Well, look, it's we talked about this earlier. One of the reasons that you get to do what you get to do is because you ask, and it doesn't frighten you to ask.
Right. Yeah.
You just get in there and you asked again. That's what got you noticed by Mike way over there. Right.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good for you. Asking you shall receive. I read that somewhere.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And I think if you really want something, you just got to go get it. You just got to do what it takes to get it.
Exactly. Questions for Zach Purdy. Anyone got a question here before we start to wind down? Go ahead, Josie, please.
Hi, Zach. Thank you. Very good.
You're welcome.
You said, just help me out here. You came back from the retreat. You have your secretary write your notes out, all of them.
Well, no, I rewrite them by hand.
Yes.
For
So
2 reasons, right? One,
yeah.
well, and I think it's important to rewrite your notes because then you're going through them twice. and then I hand them to her. She types them, and then I reread them. So I go through my notes every event 3 or 4 times.
That's very good. And then you send out an email summary to your real estate list of agents
Yeah.
saying, you know, this is a summary. I went to this event. This is what I learned. If you want to know, I've gotten your emails. So if you are interested in all of the notes, send me an email and I'll send them to you. Is that what you say? Something like that?
Correct. Yes. And I'll get probably anywhere from 100 to 200 that will respond. Please send me your notes.
And that's probably because you're getting them from the people who aren't Mike Ferry people.
Well, there's a lot of Mike Ferry people because, think about it. Not everybody goes to every event. I know I could tell you 100 people that weren't at the production retreat for different reasons.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, great. I just wanted to make sure I got it straight. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You've got a number of Mike Ferry people, Josie, don't you?
Yeah, I have about 500, a list of 500 people.
Yeah, and you don't do it with the same intensity
No.
and that Zach does.
Consistency. No, I do send out an email, but not 100% of the time.
And
Yeah.
you're right there. You're in the, and interestingly enough, he's in Indiana, but you're in the middle of Newport Beach and Huntington Beach, which are,
Yeah.
Indiana people want to, or people in the country want to go to those places.
They want to come, but they don't want to buy.
Well, that's true too, but bring them along.
You'd be surprised if you get enough agents in your database and you
Sure.
meet with them, network with them, take care of them. I think that's another thing is whenever I get a referral, I make sure I really, really, really communicate with the agent, right? So after I hang up, as soon as I make first contact, I send the agent a text. As soon as we start really looking, or I've met with them on a listing appointment, I send them another text and just keep them updated. Those agents become, raving fans, as I would call it. And then they're happy if anytime they hear of somebody needing an agent in Indiana, hey, call Zach. He did a great job on my referral.
It's interesting you say that, Zach. When I'm watching Mike Ferry, I don't know what they are. The people are running things around. I'll give your name. I know you from Indiana, and I'll give somebody else's name if I know that, maybe they're from Vegas or something else. Yeah. So just trying to help. So yeah, I think that's great. Good stuff. All right. Anything else? Other questions of Zach this morning here?
Hey, Zach, what was it that you said about that 3x5 card?
Oh, it just says shut up and listen on it.
Okay.
It's just a subtle reminder when you're prospecting. When you ask a question, listen to the response and don't just try to rush to the next question.
I'm more than glad to you put that on a 3x5 card and I will sign it and you can put it, in front of you.
There you go.
So there you go. I would be more than glad to sign that for any of you.
I still have the recording because when I was coaching with Mike, I always record all the calls. I still listen to that recording every once in a while.
The one where he fired you?
Yeah, just to remind myself, stop talking so much, listen more.
Yeah, that's important. And that is important. We talk about that stuff all the time. What else did you learn today, or what other questions do you have of Zach?
Zach, it's Edward here in North LA. How are you?
I'm good, Ed. How you doing?
Good, man.
Where's North LA, Edward?
Ventura County, San Fernando Valley.
I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Zach, are you doing anything to grow your database organically outside of agent to agent?
You mean like my past clients in SOI?
Yeah. How are you growing that?
We're working on that. Me and Tony are working on it through, just through past clients. You could grow it through an expired. Me and Tony, we're working on, he wants me to put together a welcome to database package, which is a great idea. We're working on that now to send out when I do add somebody to my database. It's just like an extra touch and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, we're working on it. He definitely wants me to grow my past clients in SOI.
How big of a database is that for you? Because you said you had the 15 or 1400 agents. How many of past clients just database?
Yeah, I have. It's really small. I haven't done the best at growing it. I only have 250, I think, in there, maybe 300.
Okay. Did you have a goal to grow that? Like, I think you said your last coach goal was 10,000 for agents. Did you have a goal for that?
Well, I think everybody's in the Mike Ferry system should be trying to get to 1,000 as quickly as possible. I mean, that's if you think about it, you get to 1,000 past clients SOI, and you do the Mike Ferry self system. That's 100 deals on autopilot every year.
$10,000 a deal is $1 million. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all you
Thank
need.
you so much, Zach.
Being in North LA where you are, that's probably a lot more than $1 million.
$25,000 a deal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you, Neil.
Hey, you're welcome, Ed. We're glad you're here. Yeah, one of the things that Zach and I talked about, I don't think I'm speaking out of school, Zach. I'm just going to make you push harder on this. When he told me that, let's say, for instance, he knows some agents in our company, and he would send them a referral, or they would send him a referral. My recommendation was to find out from the person who the office manager was, and get their phone number. And Zach will call the office manager or the office broker and say, hey, I just closed a deal with one of your people, Susie. And in fact, the commission check's in the mail, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to know if you had anyone else that you could think of that's sending business my way. The person in the office that knows about referrals that are going backwards and forwards is the manager or the broker. Use that resource.
I feel like that is such a good golden nugget that I'm 100% using going forward, starting with these next 3 that are closing here soon.
Well, I wrote it down, and you only have to give me a piece of the first 100. Oh, that's great. Congratulations, Zach. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Other questions for Zach or Deb, did you have a question? You kind of were moving your hand.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Thank you. Zach, yes, you mentioned that you started to follow your schedule this year, or you changed something. What did you do differently this year regarding your schedule?
Well, I just started being more consistent. What happened was I was in February at September at the Fort Lauderdale event. I did a panel. Mike asked me to do a panel it was me and Zach Bear. And he asked me, he said, well, how many hours are you prospecting? And I was, brutally honest with him. I'm not somebody who's going to lie. I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. And I told him about an hour a day. He said, you're only prospecting an hour a day? And he said, yeah. So, well, long story short, I was coaching with Ron Cronin. He switched my coach after that. He said he was going to, and he actually did. I got a call from his assistant the very next week. And, and then, but I mentally made a decision. Hey, I'm not going to, if the next time Mike asked me to come on stage, I'm not going to be able to tell him I'm only prospecting an hour a day. Well, and now with Tony, I have to text him every morning at 10 a.m. and I have to let him know what time I went to bed at night, because that was the first problem we ran into. What time I get up, what time I was in the office, and how long I prospected. And I was supposed to prospect at minimum from 8 to 10.
Good for you.
Which honestly, I did that from November to December. I'm still doing it now, but that's why I did close 7 deals this month. Or not close, but pending.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, you think the 7 deals you did this month came because you did work the month or 2?
Yeah.
You mean there's a correlation there? I'm going to write that one down.
and I'll tell you, I have the ability. February is going to be a bigger month, actually.
I'm sorry, what's going to be a bigger month?
February.
Good for you.
I don't know.
Did you know it's a shorter month?
Well, it is a shorter month. That's true, but I have.
But you're going to do more business.
Yeah, I have a lot of good leads
You're
right
my
now.
kind of guy.
Yeah.
Well, you got 4 kids, right?
Yeah, 4 kids. I don't have a choice.
And you mentioned you
three of
8
them
to
are boys that eat a lot.
Yeah, Deb, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned from 8 in the morning till 10 in the
Yeah.
morning. So you go really early, so you don't find that you are interrupting people or
No, I like to.
Oh.
I personally, I like to call the expireds first. Me and Tony have talked
Okay.
about it and said that's not necessarily super important. It's being better, not first. But when you call them first, it's easier. When you're the 7th person that's called them, you have to handle a lot more objections, which you can do. But I like calling them 8 a.m. So I start with expires every morning. Sometimes I'll start at 7:50.
I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, from Indiana, you could call expireds pretty much all day long.
Yeah,
You just keep moving time zones.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we are getting a decent amount of expireds right now, though. We're getting well, I just narrowed my criteria because of Tony, but I'm still getting 5 a day at least. Five at least 5
answers a day or 5 opportunities.
Five new expires every day at least.
Okay.
And usually it's a little bit more than that.
Are they they're answering the phone because you're calling at 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you having conversations with them?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm having conversations with them. I did. So I mean, there's good and bad with everything, right? I called. It wasn't an expired, but I forget. Maybe it was an expired. I called somebody the other day, and at 8 o'clock, but they were in Chicago, so it was 7 o'clock, and I got cussed out and told them not to call them again. But that's okay. Move on. It's a numbers game.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. Other questions for Zach? Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Great answers. Other questions? So one of the things, Zach, that we do right now, we're running about a little bit late. I know you've got a hard stop, is we'll kind of go through the room. You're welcome to stay and listen, or we understand it. We've put your name and number and email address in here about 7 or 8 times. So hopefully you'll pick up some business from us. But we're going to go through the room and ask, what did we learn? What did we learn from you today? So you're welcome to hang around, or if you.
Yeah, I got about 5 or 10 minutes. I hang around, but I
appreciate it. All right. So what did we learn today? What did you guys learn from Zach? Let's go around the room. Josie.
Well, I need to be more consistent, and I like the idea of his secretary or his assistant typing all the notes. So I need to do that, including, just sending a summary.
I don't know where you heard that, because I heard he rewrote the notes.
Well, he rewrites them so that he'll remember them and so that they're more legible, I guess.
And then he gives them to the secretary?
Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. I just
No, I like that.
He types them up and then I can send them out via PDF.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. All right.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. What else did we learn today? Go ahead, Miguel, please.
Yes. Be fruitful and multiply to sell more houses.
That's true. Zach didn't get it, but now he does.
I got it.
Good stuff. Well, look, if you have 4 children, you have 4 cars that you have to buy. You have 4 college educations to buy, blah, blah, blah. In my case, you have to help your children with a down payment for a house, because nobody can afford to buy a house if you're just earning money. You got to have your parents or grandparents help. Maybe I should go to, if I went to Indiana, Zach, is there a town I could buy?
Probably.
That's great. Good stuff. All right. What else did we learn today?
Neil, it's not that bad. I'm from Indiana. I'm from Indianapolis. I just left there last week. Zach didn't mention it was 2 degrees.
Zach said he missed you.
But I'm actually from Indiana. And I don't know, it kind of feels like slow and steady wins the race. The way he's buying a lot of houses, he's making enough to sustain. It seems good.
Oh,
Not the
absolutely.
big city numbers, it's not. But as far as investing, Indiana ain't so bad. Indianapolis, but yeah, it's really cold. And I'm surprised at how the market's changed. I didn't think houses were worth up to 300,000. I actually thought it was maybe half of that. So yeah.
Where you were from Indianapolis, Betty? When did you
Indianapolis,
get
Indiana.
here?
I just left there Sunday actually, and I was looking at some of the houses and just kind of looking around. Have a lot of family there, so I'm glad you put his information in the box over here. But yeah, I'm surprised that the market is doing as well as it is actually.
Well, Zach, there's another referral for you.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah, reach out.
I have a lot of family there, and I have my eye on some things there in terms of investments. But yeah, it's not the California numbers, but it's good for you.
Well, I mean, in the suburbs, we do. I mean, so I think the number one agent in our MLS last year sold like 100. He has a team of 4. He sold 120 himself, but with at an average of $1 million. But he, he's been doing it for 35 years, and he gets all the Colts players, and so I mean, we do have higher price homes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. What else did we learn? Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Betty. What else do we learn? Come on, jump in.
I'll chime in. Tommy Cotton from San Diego. And Zach, thanks for your time today. And I'm fairly new to the game. I've been a teacher for 26 years, and I'm jumping into the real estate game. And I'm taking away the database and expires because I'm looking where I can get started and find a niche. And that's where I'm going to start. I think I like your idea on expires. And I also know that Camille gives trainings on role play calling. So I'm going to jump into that on the next few days here as well.
8 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week.
That's okay. I'm an early bird.
All right.
Oh, well, I'll add to that. I used to get on Neil's. I used to get on Neil's role play. The only reason I don't is because it's 11 a.m. our time. But that role play is, I mean, my skills improved a lot when I was joining that recently. I learned a lot of good objection handlers, and it's fabulous. I'd highly recommend it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I just have a question quickly, if I may, please. Which part of Indiana are you specializing in, or which part do you live in?
Yeah, well, I live in Indianapolis. Like, I'm sitting in Indianapolis now at my office, so which is on the north side of Indy. So I work a lot of the suburbs too, like Carmel, Fishers, Zionsville. Actually, I live in Zionsville, so a lot of the suburbs, and Indianapolis as well.
I was born in Rensselaer, Indiana, but I moved here when I was 3 to San Diego, so I'm 52 now. I'll be 53 tomorrow, actually, and I've been here for a long time. But yeah, did you know where Rensselaer, Indiana is?
Where what is? I'm sorry.
Rensselaer, Indiana. It's kind of by Lafayette, small little town, 4,000 people.
I just left Lafayette. I'm taking a listen to Lafayette.
I think we have some cousins here.
Yeah. Well, if it's by Lafayette, I do go up there. So give me a call if you need any help up there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much. Claremont, what's your first name?
Tommy.
Tommy. Okay, good.
Tommy Cotton.
I didn't see the name in there. All right. What else did we learn today? Let's go. Let's quick. Come on.
I'll speak.
Vanessa, please speak.
Yeah. Woo. Okay. A lot of people have already touched on what I'm about to say, but I feel it was very important and insightful for me is that to follow a production-based schedule and to be consistent with a routine and be aggressive with any of your follow-up, it's apparent that that's key for a top producer like yourself, Zach. And I want to thank you for this presentation. And Neil, as always, thank you for allowing me to join this insightful group.
Oh, you're so kind, Vanessa. So kind. But you come
You're the
from
best.
you
Don't tell Bobby that.
Don't tell Bobby. You call him Bobby, I call him Robert.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Awesome stuff. Fantastic. Unmute yourselves. Let's give Zach a big hand. All right.
Great job,
Thank
Zach.
you. Thank you.